Hey guys, how's it going? Your boy is leaving for tour very soon, and with that, I just wanted to make a quick video going over the guitar tones I will be using on this tour. And in case you guys are wondering, I'll be going out with Vanna again. No, not the post-hardcore band from the early 2000s, Vanna with two N's. I'll be going out with Vanna with one N. Let's get right into it. So as you can see here, I have the Fender Tone Control app pulled up, and that is because I'm going to be using the Fender Tone Master Pro on this upcoming tour. So this is my guitar tone for our song called Noxious, and here is what it sounds like. So that is pretty much going to be the same tone that I use for just about every song across the board. Now, I'll go over the signal chain really quick. So, of course, first things first, we have a gate. It's pretty tight. It's at -45 for the threshold. I don't want it too tight to where it sucks the tone out, but I also want it tight enough to really clamp down on all the rhythms that I'm playing, because I'm really not playing any leads, so I'm not really worried about it in that aspect. Next up, we have their virtual capo, which is pretty much their pitch shifter, but I'm using it more like an octave pedal. You can see that I have it down the 12 semitones like an octave, but I have the mix around 70% so that it's not just doing the full pitch shift, because I like having the note clarity coming from the direct signal, because it just gets too muddy if I have it at the full mix with it being that low, which I can show you really quick. Yeah, to me, it just sounds a little tighter with the mix dialed back, so you get a little bit more note clarity in there. And then next up, we have my EQ that I have shaping my DI even more before it hits the amp and everything else. So I have 31 and 62 pulled down quite a bit. I have a little boost around 125 just so I can keep it a little meaty and beefy. And then 250 and 500 I have pulled down a little bit. Didn't touch 1K. I have 2K and 4K pulled down a bit because it's pretty harsh in those areas with these pickups on this guitar. I have a little bit of a boost at 8K for some more presence. And then I have a compressor with a fast attack, fast release, doing the compressor thing for guitars. We all know that. Moving on, I have my overdrive, which is just the tube screamer type thing in front of the amp just to tighten things up, as one does when they play high gain heavy metal. And as you can see, I have my pedal shifter, which is the whammy, and my octave fuzz. They're grayed out, but if we go to the foot switch assign, we can see that I have them assigned to my noise preset that I made. So I have it set to momentary so that it acts kind of like a whammy, or I guess the Talon Electric noise pedal from Alpha Wolf. So if I press it down, you can see it engages and you get the crazy noise. So it definitely does what it says it does. And then moving on, we're using their Uberschall amp. I have the gain dialed back quite a bit so I can get some more note clarity. And plus the Uberschall is just nothing but gain pretty much. This is at 35 and it sounds mean. It sounds so mean still. I'll take the octave off and I'll play it for you really quick. Yeah, so you can hear that it gets a little bit more muddy when I have more gain on it. I found that 30, 35 is kind of the sweet spot. And then volume, just a little boost there. Boosted the treble, pulled back the middle a bit. And I have a pretty big cut on the bass because with me doing the octave down thing, if I don't do that big cut on this amp, it just is nothing but mud. And I feel that the Uberschall in the Fender Tone Master is pretty bass heavy, which I don't usually hate, but with the octave down thing, it just makes it a mess. So I have to cut that out quite a bit. And then I have an IR from, I think, Bogren Digital going on, and it's just the Coroner 19 one. It's just the one that I thought sounded the best. I have a bit of a low cut going on here at 60 and a high cut at 10K, just to kind of tame some frequencies in there. And then I have a couple more EQs going on just to continue taming the sound, just to get it really tight so it sounds really, really good in a live setting. So I have a little bit of a dip at 240 just to control some more mud. I have a dip around 750 because there's a lot of like hiss and fizz and kind of nasty frequencies sitting there, especially with my extended range guitars, but also this one in particular with the Lundgren pickups. They're very hot, so I get a lot of that kind of nastiness there. And then a little bit more harshness control around 2.2, just a little dip there, and a boost around 6.6 to kind of give a little bit more presence in there, especially after cutting. And then on this EQ, I just have a bit of a dip around 800 just to kind of tame that harshness in those like upper mids a little bit more, and then a tiny bit of a cut around 1.6 and 3.2. just to tame things a little more. And then, like I said, this is pretty much the same signal chain I'm using for every song. The only difference is some songs have another virtual capo, like Pleaser, where that is a full mix because I do need it to be pitched down. Just a semitone. I think Serpentine is just 2 semitones. The only other different thing in Pleaser is it has a lo-fi thing going on. And that is just like a scene that's engaging this EQ that kind of gives me that lo-fi effect. And then other than that, the only other thing that I have going on is the last song, Clandestine. And that is just a clean scene that I have going on. I'm not doing the octave down thing in this, actually. I do pitch it a full octave down. And I guess I actually do the mix on that too, but I do pitch it down at the end for like the last breakdown. But the only difference is in this signal chain and the other ones is I have a clean going on. And in this clean scene, we're using the JC clean, which is like the Roland Jazz Chorus style amp. Have the same IR going on, same EQ there. And then the only difference is for the clean, I have a chorus going on, which is like the Boss chorus. I have this cloud reverb, and then I have a digital delay, and that gives us a sound like this. And then that's just on the bridge pickup. I might do a middle position and do kind of like bridge and neck pickup for that part in the song, just because I think it does sound a little bit better. This is what that sounds like. Yeah, so just kind of like a dreamy clean going on. And then the only other thing in this preset is this other scene, my ambient lead, which just moves it back to the Uberschall head and pushes the mix on the reverb up, just to kind of give a nice ambient, like textural effect. And that sounds like this. And yeah, that's pretty much my tones for tour. And then the only other like stuff for my signal chain would be, you know, I'm taking out this Schecter Banshee Mach 7 with the Evertune for this tour. This is going to be my main, and it comes with like the Lundgren M7s, which I'm a big fan of. Very hot passive pickups, a lot of note clarity. It does have push-pull, but I don't really use that much for our set. Stainless steel frets, the nice Roman numeral inlays that you probably can't really see on here very well. And it has locking tuners. The only other thing other than that, I guess, is just I switched to the Ernie Ball Cobalts. I think it's like the 10 to 56 set, and I gotta say, I actually really like the Cobalts. I like that they're a little grippier. They almost sound like they have their own kind of natural compression to them. They sound a lot snappier, and the life lasts a lot longer than like the regular Ernie Balls, in my opinion. So I'm very excited to use these on this tour. I don't think there's really much else other than I have a backup guitar, and it's going to be this other Schecter, my Reaper 7 with very nice Wenge neck. Big fan of that, but this just has their stock pickups in it, like the San Andreas or something like that. It is multi-scale, has like the Hipshot open gear tuners, but no Evertune on that one, so that's probably going to stay my backup for tour. I hope that I get to see some of you guys when I'm out on the road, and yeah, I'll catch you next time. See ya.